job. I can't talk right now. I'm on live.
Every time I see Monique these days, she's on doing some greasy ass video with her and her daddy complaining about something.
People who felt like I felt, all these multi-men spoke up and said something, the narrative would start.
DL Hughley was just confronted, directly, clearly, and without any filter, by Lil Boosie and Katt Williams. There was no pause, no holding back, and definitely no attempt to soften the message. Boosie addressed him head-on, Katt stood firmly in agreement, and the audience immediately sensed a shift. It was clear, Hughley was no longer in control of that space. In a culture where language carries serious weight, this moment felt like a verbal knockout played out in public.
He told. You see what I'm saying? So even if I made it deceitful and I made you think that the answer is over here, but the answer is really over here.
All the time with everybody called Would You Rather. She apparently was so offended by that she said she got off, she called me. Monique did, and she said I was very dismissive, like, Monique's a liar. How somebody who has a comedian talks as everybody else that she does, she has the temerity to be offended about anything as much as you say about people?
Now it seems like everyone is echoing the same sentiment. DL Hughley might actually be finished. That single moment set the internet on fire, sparked countless memes, and divided fans into two camps. But this isn't just about a comedian being called out. This is about a seasoned figure, someone with decades of experience in comedy, politics, and social commentary, having his influence publicly challenged by two individuals who take their platforms seriously.
Mistake is saying yes to you. I should have said no when you couldn't come on my radio show. I should have said no that I wasn't playing those dates. As a matter of fact, almost anybody who says yes to you at some point is in this milieu with you. Almost anybody. So I would suggest anybody out there, you can say yes to drugs, say no to Monique.
Monique been telling y'all, black women are being underpaid. She been telling y'all women are being underpaid. People start opening their mouth up, it becomes reality.
The way it all unfolded, that's exactly why this clip went viral. Let's break it down. DL Hughley has always been vocal. He's more than a comedian. He's built his image as a cultural commentator, a voice within Black culture, and a critic of societal issues. Often that includes calling out rappers, entertainers, or anyone he believes promotes the wrong message. He criticized Kanye. He's called out by Snoop. He's challenged anyone he views as compromising values or playing both sides. That's been his role.
To his show, and when I was leaving his show, I thought he threw me some weed in the car because it was wrapped up in a towel. But it was $15,000, bro. I get emotional talking about it, bro. Like, I really needed it at the time.
He speaks boldly. His critiques are sharp. He often positions himself as the mature voice in the room. But the challenge with being a critic is that eventually someone will turn that critique back on you. And in this case, it wasn't just anyone. It was Lil Boosie and Katt Williams. Two figures known for their unfiltered honesty. Two individuals who speak their minds without concern for political correctness. Boosie's entire public image is rooted in being unapologetically himself, raw, real, and unconcerned with backlash. Whether you support his views or not, his voice holds influence. The same goes for Katt Williams. He's not just a stand-up comic. He delivers commentary that hits hard. He speaks uncomfortable truths, and he does so with flair. When Katt targets you, it's not just humor, it's a revelation. So when both of them confronted Hughley in real time, it wasn't just a tense exchange, it became a cultural moment. A clash of perspectives, critics versus performers, establishment versus unfiltered voices, analysis versus lived experience. Word is, things kicked off when Hughley began offering his usual commentary. He made remarks that didn't sit well with Boosie, statements that came off as dismissive, as if he were once again criticizing the culture from a distance. Boosie wasn't having it. He interrupted, cut Hughley off, and challenged him directly. He voiced what many artists and fans have quietly felt for years, that Hughley speaks as if he's above it all, as if he alone gets to judge who's authentic and who isn't. Boosie responded, "You don't get to make that call. You can't check us without being called out in return." What made the moment even more impactful was Katt Williams backing him up. He didn't just sit quietly, he jumped in like he'd been waiting for this chance, throwing pointed remarks with his signature sharp wit that hits harder than expected. Katt's humor often walks the line between comedy and truth, making it both funny and uncomfortable. When Katt began mocking Hughley, it wasn't just for laughs. He highlighted inconsistencies, calling out instances where Hughley had contradicted himself, saying one thing one moment and something entirely different the next. That's what gave the moment real weight. It wasn't just Boosie, the unfiltered voice from the South, speaking out. It was Katt Williams, another influential figure in comedy, standing beside him, backing his points and intensifying the critique. Suddenly, it was no longer a one-on-one exchange. It became two strong voices challenging one, and Hughley struggled to keep pace. His usual tool, comedy, just didn't land. The jokes didn't hit. The audience wasn't laughing with him. They were laughing at him. His responses lacked punch. They came across as defensive, even forced. You could feel the energy shift in the room. The same Hughley who usually steers conversations with ease, who always has a sharp line or clever comeback ready, didn't have it this time. For once, DL Hughley wasn't in control of the narrative. And once the moment hit the internet, it spread fast. Clips went viral across platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Everywhere you looked, people were sharing it. YouTube titles declared it the downfall of DL Hughley. Tweets claimed, "Katt and Boosie just ended this man's career on camera." Memes portrayed Hughley looking uncomfortable, diminished, with captions like, "When the roast master gets roasted." The cultural reaction was immediate, and it wasn't in Hughley's favor. Comment sections were divided. Some applauded the moment, saying it was long overdue. Finally, someone called DL out, they wrote. He's been criticizing rappers for years, always acting superior to the culture. For those people, the moment felt like overdue accountability. Some viewers saw Boosie and Katt as champions, voices of authenticity who don't conform to polished media critics. Others didn't see it that way. They felt the moment crossed a line. A one-on-one exchange is fair, but 2 against 1 felt more like bullying than truth-telling. In their view, Hughley didn't deserve to be put on the spot like that, no matter how much they disagreed with his opinions. But the reason this moment resonated so strongly goes beyond the live exchange. It wasn't just about who had the upper hand that night. It was about what each person symbolized within the culture. DL Hughley stands for the role of the critic, the commentator, the gatekeeper. He's the figure who appears on television and radio to analyze others, to shape how stories are told, and to determine what aligns with cultural standards. He speaks with polish, shaped by institutions, and has always cast himself as the responsible voice in public discourse. Boosie, on the other hand, represents the voice from the streets, the one who's lived the experience he speaks about. He doesn't sugarcoat his perspective, even if it's controversial or comes with consequences. He gives a voice to those who aren't featured on talk shows or radio, but who live the realities that Hughley often critiques from a distance. And Katt Williams represents the truth teller in the form of a comedian. He uses humor not just to entertain, but to confront. His comedy highlights contradictions and holds those in power accountable. Throughout his career, he's built a reputation for challenging the entertainment industry, exposing dishonesty, and confronting those who misuse influence. He's the type of comic who unsettles people in high places. So when Boosie and Katt both challenged Hughley, it wasn't just a personal call-out. It carried symbolic weight. It represented a deeper conflict between different roles in the culture, between mainstream commentary and unfiltered experience, between polished narratives and raw truth, the gatekeeper versus the unfiltered voices, the critic versus those being critiqued, the establishment versus the streets. This moment was about more than just 3 individuals in a room. It was a deeper clash over who gets to shape the narrative of the culture. DL Hughley has long presented himself as the rational voice. He takes on the role of the one who calls out rappers when they cross a line, who highlights the risks of glorifying street life, and who offers criticism without hesitation. But to Boosie, to Katt, and to many viewers watching from home, Hughley comes across as someone speaking from a distance, critiquing a culture he hasn't lived. A figure who benefits from the culture's impact, yet remains outside of it, looking in with judgment rather than understanding. That's what gave this moment its weight. In front of a live audience, unfiltered and unedited, Boosie and Katt brought him down from that position. They challenged him directly and reminded him, "You're not above reproach, you're not immune to critique. And you don't get a pass just because of your status." They did it in real time, candidly. And in doing so, They left Hughley looking like he had lost the control he was known for commanding in any room. That's why people continue to revisit the clip. Not for laughs, but for what it represented. Now let's look at the aftermath. For Hughley, this moment is significant. His influence relies heavily on being perceived as intelligent, quick-witted, and untouchable in conversations. But if the public begins to feel that he was exposed, or that he was unable to respond effectively, it can damage that perception. Longtime supporters may start to reevaluate their stance. Other entertainers might now feel more confident in challenging him. The voice that was once dominant in every room may start to fade in volume. For Boosie and Katt, this was a strategic moment. They walked away as the ones who stood up, who called out the so-called gatekeeper and stood firm in defense of their part of the culture. It reinforces their image as truth-tellers, individuals unafraid to confront power directly. But for the broader culture, it brings forward an important question. Who truly represents us? Is it the refined critic with airtime or the unfiltered voices from the stage and the streets? This conflict has always existed, but now it's front and center. Fans haven't stopped debating it. Some argue Hughley had it coming, that he spent too long criticizing rappers and entertainers without being challenged. Others believe Boosie and Katt went too far, that Hughley has earned his platform and didn't deserve that kind of disrespect. The discussion is complicated, and that's exactly why it's gone viral. And realistically, the internet doesn't always reward fairness, it rewards moments. It amplifies whoever looks bolder, funnier, or sharper. In this case, the clips show Boosie and Katt appearing to dominate the exchange. The optics alone paint Hughley as the one who came up short. And in this space, perception carries weight. But here's where it gets more significant. This wasn't just an isolated incident, it could mark the beginning of a broader shift. If Boosie and Katt can challenge someone like Hughley and come out ahead, others may feel empowered to do the same. More entertainers could begin pushing back, directly calling out critics, and creating similar high-visibility moments that could shift the long-standing balance between performers and commentators, which leads to the real question for Hughley. How does he respond? Does he push back publicly, defending himself, taking shots at Boosie and Katt in return?